So we're continuing on with the ESOC Two Towns Tawny casting. Back on Dakota here for the grand final, and we've got Azad picking Spanish, Optimus picking his Ottoman. So Azad instantly town centering in the center. Optimus going to bring his back a little bit. So on one hand, he's sort of relinquishing center map control and foregoing a villager, or roughly, by moving this town center, but in saying that, keeps the town center secure from a quick push in Commerce or in Fortress Age. So Optimus, Ottoman, already has his mosque up, but he's going to get hunting dogs first. So he's not yet going to have the wood to be able to get... what's the upgrade for Kapali Viziers? Is it the millet system upgrade? I think it might be millet system. Not millet system, billet system, is it? I don't know. I'll check in a sec. Anyway, Azad already has a trading post.
Correcto.
What's this here? A bear cub. So Optimus hasn't yet got that upgrade with the villager. Train speed increase, but bearing in mind, well, I mean, it's 2 TC versus 2 TC production, and it's Ottoman unupgraded TC production at that. So I mean, he probably does want to get the upgrade, but he probably wants to take Commerce Age first. Because ideally he wants to have Kapali Viziers and the increase from 25 to 45, I think it is, villager capacity upgrades by the time he's going to Fortress. Oh, this one's not going to reset. Man, I've got to figure out how you guys get the most out of trying to take down these treasures. How do you abuse it like that? So, Optimus has a war dog now. But, Azad starts with one. And he's also found a bear in the meantime. So he's got a bit of a nice little fighting force already. That's a good little treasure there. Also another nice treasure here. These guys are just coming straight up and meleeing them. And Zed's actually using the dog to tank, which is not a bad idea. Don't think it actually regens. And the bear definitely won't regen. So I don't think they're the dog hero like they used to be. They're just like a trainable war dog in DE. Whereas in the original AoE 3, I think Spanish and Portuguese got a war dog, and then the other got a hero dog, and then the other civs could upgrade to him. So both our players taking Commerce Age now. Optimus is a little faster on his actually, so this might be why he didn't go for that upgrade for the initial village train speed. Well, Azad, he's got quicker villager production, but he actually needs to train his vills. So he's a little bit slower on his Commerce Age. But he's actually starting wood gathering. So I think the Ottoman player has plenty of wood to start out with the market and the mosque. And then I think with the treasures and the age up, Optimus is able to afford the trading post. Oh, even without the wood from the age up, the treasures and what he had left of his initial wood was enough. And now he's going to get a lot of wood out of that age up. So Azad's had this trading post over Optimus, but his age up is a little bit slower. And I mean, the mosque is also an XP generator, like the other temple buildings. And there were no eco techs yet for Azad. So Azad, having shipped Feria, Capitalism, and the 3 settlers. Well, he's actually got Feria on the way, sorry. But he's going to need a crate. Go to 300 wood first. Well, Optimus has already shipped, I think. Yeah, the three vills. It looks like just the crate of wood so far. So Azad, Optimus, only just keeping that Wardog alive there. At the same time, he's going to get a Tomahawk for that treasure. Over here, Optimus has got to deal with Azad. Poking at this trading post, but he's sending the native scout down just to check and make sure he hasn't committed to a barracks just yet, so he's free to keep chipping away at the trading post. And without having to worry about getting too much at home. So Azad does have these muskets on the way. Oh, he's going to be able to maybe pick off the Tomahawk. Oh, just slightly too slow there. So Optimus. Meanwhile, here we go. Grand Bazaar. So I think that's the one that actually ups the villager count. And you need to sort of get it a little bit earlier in 2 towns because you've got the 2 TCs. I didn't see whether he had actually gone for, I think it's, yeah, Billet System and Kopulu Viziers, which are the first 2 of the 3 train speed for Ottoman villagers. Because while they're free, they train a hell of a lot slower to begin with, and you sort of need all 3 upgrades, or at least 2 out of 3, to match regular villager train speed. So right now, Azad putting that pressure on Optimus, and he's continuing to stream muskets for now, but Optimus now teched into Janissaries, and I believe they are 1-to-1, slightly stronger than the base musketeers. Actually, the damage is lower, but their health pool's higher. I think overall they are slightly stronger. Are they any more expensive? I don't think so. I can't actually see the cost because it's an older replay now, so it doesn't actually fucking show me any of the tech info on this screen, except for trading post things, because they're sort of neutral for whatever reason. Oh, this Wardog's going to be able to really help Azad turn this around, because Optimus is going to find it hard to break snare here. He's going to get the Janissaries out, but he is going to lose the Explorer. I mean, that is a bit of an XP blow, but Optimus is also taking a nice fight into Azad here. The Janissaries do give slightly more XP to kill than the muskets 1-to-1, but while this is going on, Optimus is going to lose his trading post. But it's funny, the dogs are over here, but they can't really assist with this, whereas they probably couldn't really enter that fight because Azad did have the unit count disparity going against him. So dogs basically just screening there. Whoa. Azad pinches that trading post off Optimus. And so Optimus, I didn't see whether or not he'd gotten any value out of this raid here in the meanwhile. I imagine there is all this here. Oh, here we go. So now Optimus is really able to run through, try and harass Azad. He's keeping 23 vills idle here, so this is pretty good, even though he's going to drop a Hussar or 2. It's a lot of vills to have idle through this, and even more of them are going to have to, I don't know, there is some musket here to clean this up. But in the meanwhile, Optimus pushing into Azad's first town centre. He is continuing to harass the Spanish player, so our Ottoman player now has a couple of falconets on the map. So these aren't the greatest against buildings, but they're also still better than infantry against the buildings. And really, There's no cavalry yet for Zad, so there's another covered wagon coming out, but he is going to probably come close to losing this town center, if not lose it. So, I mean, these falconets are going to be a really, really tough fight for Zad to come into. So Optimus gets that town center down to a little bit over 1,000 health. But Azad, oh, he's getting an upgrade for his vet muskets, so that'll be nice. Vet Janissary's already been researched for Optimus in the meantime, so really nice for him. Hasn't been able to actually replace the trading post or rally to his explorer to get him back up yet, but ooh, in the meantime, Azad, having lost the town center, is actually going to win the falconet fight there. Meanwhile, Janissary's entering melee form, so this way they're actually going to be better fighting against the falconets. But they're still not going to get the second one. They get the first one there. Azad, having lost his second town center, while the Ottoman player, Optimus, has gone for the third town center. It's now down a TC, up a trading post as a result of this fight. Well, it was supposed to go up there. Looks cool, but I think that's bugged out now. Oh no, there we go. So our players gathering into the north and the south side of the map, into one another's side, so to speak, but really they're still sort of as apart from each other as they can be at the moment, without being too far from their main base. Like with this hunt here, there's sort of not really any more over here left for Optimus, while going for this one sort of puts him in the firing line for Azad. So he sort of is best off expanding up here, continuing on this one. But Azad's actually still got this other hunt over here, and this one back here. So he's, and the one all the way back over here. So by trying to get on this hunt and then this one now, sort of robs Optimus for the chance to ever sort of come over here to the left and grab it later into the game. So I think at the moment, Optimus is a little on the back foot in terms of his eco opportunity from here. He needs to make something happen, and on top of that, avoid Azad beelining for this, the only hunt he's basically, you know, one of the only two hunts he's basically got left, whereas, yeah, Optimus has got to keep track of basically, well, three, I was going to say four, but this one's more or less moved into this one anyway. 3 different hunt spots, so raiding from here is a little bit easier for Azad. But Optimus making a nice push there, because he's going to kill a little handful of muskets for free. Going to be able to deal some good damage onto this barracks before Azad's able to engage, because he's kept his military so far back. At the same time, Azad can line up and take a couple of nice Falk shots if Optimus isn't careful disengaging at a good time. But the Falks don't make this very hard for Optimus to stay and fight until he gets another handful of cavalry. Whether he, I don't know if he's got any more Spahi to ship. I don't think so. You can only send them the once as well. He is going to get his own artillery. I was going to say whether he gets his own artillery just to make it hard for Azad to push, because bearing in mind his infantry are all heavy ranged, so the Lancers can't just sit on top of them like they would be able to if, say, there were a handful of skirms or archers. And the muskets also make it hard to really use the Spahi or transition into lots of Hussar as well yourself, so trying to get the siege to deal with them is quite nice, or even a Culverin, just snipe the falconets while you look at fielding your own as a follow-up. So these guys are just a powerful all-round melee cavalry, while the Dragoons are like an anti-cav. So I think the goons still win this fight like they would against the hussars, but it's a lot harder because these guys, I think, are basically worth twice as much as the hussars. So Azad got double stables as well as his barracks, so he's really getting a lot of goons to screen for these lancers. And at least, unlike the lancers, they don't have to engage the Janissaries in melee, and they do actually trade quite well against culverins and falconets, while the infantry don't. But even still, Azad can't really stick around with these goons because there's nice comp here by Optimus. You know, he's basically printed a lot of Janissaries and now he's got a couple of culverins and the Spahi's shipped. That's, as long as he can get the Falks, that's all he really needs, I think. Because as long as he can melee down most of the lancers and then get on top of the back line, he should be okay. And Azad, having lost all his Falks, he's now got to deal with a bit of aggression, some of the skirms being locked up here and some Spahi on the way over, but it looks like the fight's really turning and Azad just has enough here that the Jans have to turn around because the Dragoons are able to engage in them just outside of melee range constantly and just outrun them. So unlike the Lancers who are going to try and melee to melee fight them, it's just not the same. And they've got muskets backing them up, firing over the shoulder as well. So somehow the infantry not landing shots up the arse of their friendly units here. And Optimus is having to sort of panic on his doorstep, but he's got a good count of Falks here, 3 of them popping out of that artillery foundry. So these guys may make all the difference, but it looks like Azad is able to just overwhelm from here because there's nothing to really screen for them. The Lancers able to just jump straight on top of the Falconets. The Janissaries just a little bit too late there. And there's no more Falks in queue, but he is shipping some Aegis guns, so this could also help, but again, now all the Janissaries are dead and there's the next shipment, the next round of them are still a little further away. But Azad is now under 2 TC, doesn't have any siege here as such, so all these buildings are going to be up for quite some time. So Azad just trying to make sure he can stay on top of the army of Optimus and stop him from being able to defend this, but now all the Janissaries are out. So another 10 of those, plus the Aegis guns, and the Aegis guns, plus the militiamen can really focus down the infantry while the Janissaries help perk off first the skirmishers just so they don't die, and then the Dragoons, so there's not much left. So I think Optimus might be able to clean up this fight, but meanwhile, he's having to deal with Azad, clean up all his Spahi, who I think must have got some value there out of that raid. Because villager counts right now, 68-65 in favour of Optimus at the moment. So Azad having to retreat from Optimus base, but he's able to add some more production, creep forward with his gathering, and right now Optimus starting to run out of food options. He's got to look at adding his mills from here, I think. So I think he's going to have to gather quite a lot of wood. And on top of that, a lot of his gold gatherers being picked off by this big army of goons from Azad. Some of them even in melee stance there. Their ranged attack deals double the damage. I think both our players just paid one another 100 gold for ransom. Another villager getting picked off there of Optimus. What was that? This whole time he's had this trading post generating value, and I think he possibly could have even gone for the second one, but he's been ascertaining the value, and right now Optimus villagers are really caught out. these guys could all get picked off if Azad's careful. Ooh, he's gonna sacrifice one of the Lancers going for this. But it's nothing too drastic, he can just bring everything together. And right now he does have a little bit of a pop lead over Optimus. Optimus has his own Sparky causing a bit of a headache for Azad, picking off a fill there and forcing a bit of a drawback from that initial hunt. I mean from that hunt, which is so far away from both players that I don't know if it's actually going to get finished before the end of the game. This one back here being finished off by Azad, but he's still got plenty there. And he's pushing again onto Optimus Gold, and Optimus having to transition to Mills slightly quicker than Azad. This might actually be what makes this game, because now Optimus has got to try and focus on getting the wood to get the mills out so he can get food, whereas Azad still has this hunt over here, and this last hunt here either player could go for, but so far it's been a bit easier for Azad to sit on. And on top of that, Azad's been pushing into Optimus base a couple of times now. No, Optimus managed to take out that starting second TC. These Avis guns, they've got some great range on them. Ooh, but now the Lancers might be able to get on top of them, and if they can do so, then they may go down. It's what is left of the infantry for Azad might be able to clean this up. Optimus doing what he can to defend from here. He's down 20 pop. Down by about 7 vills. He's got some missionaries now, but these guys don't do a great amount of attack, but their main strength is all the healing they're going to offer, and right now Optimus, his front line is pretty much all gone. It's just Avis guns, and it's just not enough for him. He's going to have to garrison the vills once again, and Azad going to be able to look at maxing out well ahead of his opponent here now, because he's up by about 40 pop. And he's just looking so healthy in these fights, while Optimus again having to transition to Mills and to Estates as well, because bearing in mind Azad's been camping a lot of the gold mines, while Optimus has got to get all the way over here and be able to get on this mine and then this one over here to really be able to gather like Azad at the moment. So he's having to transition to Mills and to Estates from here. I was going to say escorts, but ooh, that's after hours. Anyway, that hunt, like I said, Azad able to get on it a little bit easier. He actually has got some mills of his own, but I think that's a bit more preemptive, just in case he gets forced off this hunt. And he hasn't necessarily got to commit to Estates just yet, because he's got this gold here. Oh, doesn't really have a lot of gold. This one on the left, but this one on the right, he's got plenty out. He does have not a lot of gold. He's got that one finished. He does have this one over here as well, so this one for Optimus, nearly out. But Optimus might be able to pick off a couple of vills here. This could be really nice for him, but he doesn't have the army to stick around here. And that many skirms fighting a handful of Avis guns, I don't know if that's the greatest of trades. Yes, they're the counter, but Optimus having to tap out because he's eventually, the wells run dry.